All right, guys, can y'all just verify that y'all can hear me? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, appreciate it, guys. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna flip y'all over into bookmap screen, and we're just gonna do a quick review here on some stuff from bookmap today. So we had called out Dollar General earlier, so let's look at somebody had mentioned Dollar General. So we're going to check it out. So first things first, if you were interested in Dollar General to start the day, 235. 235 is where it was starting in the pre-market. You see that you have major liquidity at 240 and 230. All right. So your expectation is it for it to get to one of those levels today. Now, keep in mind with SPY started the day at 400. So we were expecting SPY to pump back and likely retest 405 today. So with that in mind, that means the overall market is going to be going with it. So your bias should actually be for the push up to the $5 increment, the major liquidity for 240 on Dollar General. So let's see what happens here. Dollar General. Okay, so Dollar General at the open. Let me make sure I got the 1 minute candles on here. Yep. Okay. All right. So Dollar General chops around at the open. 234, 235. Finally gets support on it. Support. Overall market starts pushing, and where's Dollar General pushing along with it, and where does it want to go? It wants to go to its major $5 increment of liquidity above, and of course, where was that at? 240. Now, what happens when it gets there? This is where the SML strategy, short at major liquidity, comes in. So short at 240, how would that have worked out for you? 240 dumps all the way back into the 237s. So beautiful example of the SML there. Also to their ATR on Dollar General. So again, you were right around that average there. So yeah, good one on that. Let me look at a couple more real quick. Let's see. Netflix was another one that was called out and mentioned this morning. Okay, so Netflix, like I mentioned, when you're playing Netflix, you got to be aware of what SPY is also doing as well. So, for example, when Netflix was pumping, it was pumping right along with SPY. All right. Now, more times than not, when SPY is moving very strong directionally, you want to let SPY get to its key level. All right. Because we were looking to take the short at 405 SPY. So ideally, when SPY gets around that area, more times than not, Tesla's going to be around where its high is going to be, and it's going to dump right with SPY. So with that said, SPY. So normally, if SPY wouldn't have been directionally pumping the way it was, let's just say hypothetically, SPY was just chopping around. Well, more times than not, what's going to happen is, again, where's our major liquidity on Netflix? 320. So again, it starts the day down here at 312. Our bias, the overall market's going to push. We know that Netflix is very likely to get into its monster liquidity up at 320. Now, when it gets there, you got to start paying attention to SPY a little bit. All right, because again, SPY had not got to 405. It was when Netflix got to 320, SPY was at 404.20ish. So it still had a little ways to go to get to its spot, and that's part of the reason why it went ahead and pushed through. It absorbed the 420 or the 320 liquidity. Bam, pushes all the way up to 322. 322. Now there is no way, or very slim chance, that Netflix pops all the way up to this 322 liquidity, if not for SPY helping it. Okay, SPY absolutely helped it to get to this 322 liquidity. So again, that's the power of understanding where SPY is at, where SPY needs to go back and retest, all that kind of stuff. Okay, it was the same example for yesterday. Yesterday when we played, shorted SPY at 410. Okay, and we were expecting SPY to dump all the way back down to 405, 406. Again, we were expecting everything to dump right along with it. And it absolutely did. So in this case, it would have been wiser to, let this push through. And again, for our push through strategy, you're looking for around a $1 push through. So 321 to 322 is the range that you would have been looking to take advantage of, because SPY had not got to that big 405 level. And they wanted to get to that monster spot. So if you'd have done the push through strategy, again, now if you'd have done the SML at 320 here, all right, right here, okay, and then you know, it pumps up here to between 321 and 322. And yeah, you want to double, you know, double your position or finish out. Say you only got half of the position there, and you got another half at 322 or 321 to 322. That's fine. You'd have still been in a very good position, and you would have known that SPY is very likely to dump its way, you know, help dump Tesla or Netflix all the way back below 320. So with that said, they end up dumping it all the way back to 317. And anyway, so it was a really worked out really good. Another one more here was TTD. We found this right here at the last second. So TTD. So the ATR on TTD is around $4 or $5. The average upper end to the average upside on TTD is around $5. And we can see they started the day around 50. They end up pushing up to 55. And again, that's where we're looking to take advantage of it. That's where our major liquidity is at, sitting right there at 55. Okay, so it pumps to 55, and we're waiting for it immediately whenever it gets there. Now, again, like I said, it was my fault. We should have had an alert set a little bit more in advance on it to give ourselves some heads up, because that's another thing too. Whenever you're setting alerts, you know, ideally you want to set them to give yourself enough heads up. You want to set them for around $1.20 before that level, this major liquidity. So you go in, you identify the major liquidity, check the ATR, all that, everything checks out, bam, you know, you set your alert about $1.20 in front of it. So when it gets to that, you know, you'll have enough time to reevaluate it, double check it, make sure everything's good, because you don't want to be in a situation that like happened here on TDD, where say you put your alert 50 cents away. Well, it blasted from 54.20 straight up to 55 in an instant. So yeah, it was really quick. And then from there, they dump it back to 54. And you say, well, that's only $1 dump. Well, you got to realize we're taking advantage of naked options here. The options for this thing were, you know, 50. I got it filled for $57, and the delta was 60. So that means this thing goes down $1. I'm up 100% on these contracts. So yeah, that's the power of options, and even more so using options on expiration day, which I think these might have been expiration day. If not, if they're expiring next week, something like not every I'm not sure if TTD is weekly expirations, but if not, it was either this week or next week, whatever the earliest the next expiration is. So with that said, so that was TTD. So anyway, so that was a quick 100%er there. And again, based off the monster liquidity sitting up here at 55, we know that's where they were hanging out. We knew there was going to be tons of profit takers here. So clean SML strategy right there. So anyway, so that takes care of BOOKMAP. We're going to flip over into our overview of SPY now. Everybody should still be with me there. So all right, let's flip into SPY and see what we got here. Which screen do I need to take down? All right. Okay, let me pull SPY up. Okay. All right, gonna pull SPY back up here. Should be able to see SPY. Can y'all verify that y'all can see the chart here with the scanner up right now? Okay, so it says stream pause. Oh, okay. I gotta switch y'all around on Discord. I'm sorry, hold on. Okay, you should see it now. All right, thank y'all. Okay, so first things first here with our scanner, if for example, you know, finding the plays that another one that we should looked at was in phase. We took advantage of in phase multiple times today, but anyway, don't want to take too much time on BOOKMAP, but yeah, so anyway, we took advantage of in phase as well. So for scanning, it's pretty simple here. We're just looking basic 750K common stock, and if you want to put depository receipts as well, that's it. If you want to do 18 to 500, $1 to 5, it doesn't matter, because we're just looking at our biggest gainers for the day. So you know, that cheapo stuff is not going to show up on our dollar gainers. Now, if we flip over percent gainers, yeah, we can start getting into some of the cheaper stuff. So as far as your column setup, the only thing that you want on the column side, ooh, I forgot to put one, shared float. That's one for sure. And then the other ones are your pre-market open percent and your pre-market dollar or pre-market change dollar amount. And then also two change from the open and change from the open percent. So this is what's going to allow us to find the good stuff that's moving for the day that we can, that's pushing to these major liquidity levels, and we can take advantage of them. So like I said, no fancy scanning there. Just you're looking for the top gainer. If you want to play the pre-market stuff, look to take advantage of some stuff that's pumped, likely to pull back at the open. You want the pre-market. If you don't play any of that, then you don't need the pre-market, just change from the open stuff. All right. So basic stuff. And also to the float. It's always good to have an idea of the float, just so you can, take that into context. Something with 200, less than 200, less than 100, that thing can absolutely get to the upper end of its ATR in no time. So yeah, you don't want to mess around. Don't want to mess around with something like that unless you're very well aware of the float. For example, in phase, another reason why we talked about how in phase can be moved so easy. It's only $132 million float on it. So that's why they can fly this thing around back and forth, $5 up and down at a time. So it's, but at the same time, if you know how to find the ATR on it and take advantage of our strategies, yeah, you can do quite well on it. So anyway, so that's scanning. So let's jump into our SPY here. All right. So first things first, for today's SPY is we got our news here in the pre-market. All right. News events. Again, news events, we want to go in flat. We don't want anything on going into a news event. Okay. Because we know how to take advantage of it after it happens. We don't need to be the gambler lotto people that are trying to play before. Now, if you're wanting to play a straddle or a strangle and you're confident that you can get a big enough move, then absolutely. But outside of that, no, you want to be 100%. You want to go into these things flat. All right. So what happens? We instantly get a computer candle straight down into 400. Again, we know the market loves to suck into the $5 increments. All right. And we see a beautiful example of that. So SPY dumps there, monster support here. We got the major 1 hour. We got the $5 increment, two major algos there. Yeah. If they're gonna pop it, this is the spot. I mean, everything is lining up for them to pop it here. And again, another thing that we know with computer candles, we're looking for a 50% retracement. That's going to happen 90+% of the time. And then, 60 to 70% of the time, they're going to retrace 100% of it. So pre-market here, bam, they blast up, they retrace. And again, our computer candle is from end to end. So 405 down to around 400. So our midpoint, the halfway retracements to, 402.50 to 403. All right. They do that. They get the retracement. And again, more times than not, whenever they do the 50% retracement, they like to initially pull off of that. So in this case, they pull off of it all the way back down to, where they popped it off in the first place. They pull it back up, and then we get our open. All right. Now from the open here, bam, they start blasting up. Because again, what was our bias at the open? They start the day at the 402 algo here. All right. We're expecting them to get to 405 at some point today, because they did not show any respect on 405. They just dumped straight through it. All right. And we know the market loves to go back and retest. The computers are coded in a way that they got to go back and retest key levels. It's just that simple. Whether that be key levels on these algos here when they dump through them, key levels on the $5 increments, they got to do it. All right. So with that said, SPY chops around here inside the algos, punches up to the 404.70 algo. Now, with that said, this was our entry. All right. We had our short entry set here right at the algo, 404.76. All right, this morning. And we see that we get to push within a few cents of it. And then we get our dump straight into the 403s. Okay. So we took advantage of that. We're out of there. All right. They push back up to 405 again. Again, this is a situation, ideally, we only want to take advantage of initial tests. Initial tests are always going to be your highest probabilities. But in a situation like this, where you have additional resistance coming down on it here, the major 5-minute moving average. All right. That's another example where if you're going to play a second time, it's good to see some extra resistance coming in. All right. So you got it there. They pulled it back again. Then finally, they push through. They finally get through it this time, support. And where are they pushing for? entry target, which was 406. Okay. Again, we knew the $5 increment and the push through on that was the key spots here, right? We knew there was going to be free money to be had there. So they push up to our 406 area. We take advantage of that. They dump all the way down into 405.30s. And yeah, beautiful rejection there. They push it straight back up. Here, another example. All right, this is identical. This is kind of like Twinkies here. All right, the second retest, there's additional resistance coming in here with the 5-minute. Now, on this time, your additional resistance is your major 15-minute moving average and an anchored VWAP pair. So you get additional selling, because of that. So re-entering this, re-entering a second time here, again, tight stop loss, 26 to 30 cents on the other side is, yeah, I could have understand wanting to enter twice on this situation. And of course, in this one, it worked out nicely. And you got to keep overall. They've pushed $5 here. Okay, so if they'd have only pushed $1 or $2 to get into this, then I don't feel as strongly about entering twice on it. But I know they've already pushed $5 or $6, in this case, $6 today. So I know that from this point, every dollar increment, especially a dollar increment like this, the push through and this extra resistance here, yeah, they're going to be pulling back for some free money. So again, you can make, when you know how to trade options and take advantage of intraday options, a 50 cent to $1 pullback, yeah, you're talking, 20 to 50 to 100% on your money there. So yeah, I mean, that might not be good enough for some people, but it's pretty good for us. All right, so let's go back to yesterday's overview of SPY. All right, so SPY, we were absolutely shorting SPY at 410 to start the day. All right, sent that out in the pre-market. Again, our entry was from 410 down to 406. Okay, 405 to 406 is where we were looking to take this short off. So if you didn't get to see that, go back to the Precision channel or the SPY ES channel, and you'll see that out. We sent it out in the pre-market. Okay. All right. We played SPX options on it. So, okay. Sent that out to play SPX options. Now they initially dumped and retraced 50% of the computer candle in the pre-market. So I went ahead and took most of that off. Okay. I only held a runner just because of understanding how the computer candle works. All right. Because again, we have an indicator that tells us when we get a computer candle. All right. So now they start the day. And again, our bias is that they want to get to 410. We know they really want to get to 410. Okay. They want to, this was, they got up here to 409.60, 409.70. But again, 410 is such a monster level. They want to, more times than not, these really monster levels like this, these big $10 increments, they want to get on them. You're talking 5 to 10 cents at a minimum, more times than not. So with that said, they actually had a little news event come right here. Don't remember what it was. Don't really care because again, we're not news traders. Again, we love to take advantage of the news, but we're not going to sit in positions before the news. Again, this was not major news that came out here, but it was enough to give it a computer candle, which it actually, it just made what we expected to happen even faster. So we push up to 410. We dumped straight down into back into the 408s. Now, again, this is now a computer candle. All right. But again, we have a strong bias towards 405, 406 for the day. With that said, they do push back up, retrace about 40-ish percent of it, somewhere in there of that computer candle. But again, in this situation, we're not, our bias is to the downside. So we are not about to, expect them to retrace 100% of this computer candle. Again, we're looking to the downside. So with that said, we break below that. They stop here at the double algo, show it a little support. They dump through it. They do not come back and show this algo any support or rejection on it. Okay. Because again, major levels are pushed through and they're come back and retested on. This did not happen here. So again, that should have been sticking in the back of your mind that, hey, you know what? When they start pumping this back up, there's a good chance they're going to need to come back and test that. So with that said, they dump it down to our area, our target here, 405, 406. I would have sent out a buy the dip here, but again, I wanted to be a little bit, played a little bit safer in this situation. We'd already done really good on this. Okay, wanted to be very careful with our money. If they could have got this down to 404, the push through on that, we would have absolutely taken advantage of it. Absolutely. But again, they didn't. They held 405, wasn't surprising whatsoever. And then from there, bounce off the algos, and then where are they heading back to? Right up to this. They needed to go back up and retest this algo, and you better believe we were waiting when we got there. So anyway, called this out. We took advantage of this this short here right at this algo to the pennies. Got a beautiful beautiful dump on it. Took most of it off on the pullback into most or all of it. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember if I held any runner for any into the four. I think I might have held a little runner for this, but anyway, the vast majority of the positions got to come off on the dump. The dump back to 407 there, and then from there, we were getting close to just doing a lot of chopping. I mentioned that for the rest of the day, we were looking for mostly to hang out between this algo and this big triple algo down here. So this was our range that we were looking for the market to hang out in for most of the rest of the day. We shut down trading for the rest of the day, and let's see what proceeded to happen. Bam, we finished right inside that range. So anyway, so anybody that thought, oh man, I want to keep trading because it's, there's so much potential here. Well, no, nope, a lot of choppiness. So with that said, does anybody have any questions in regards to yesterday's SPY, today's SPY, the book map that I covered? Any questions in regards to any of that? Any questions? All right, guys. If nobody has any questions on anything, yep, that'll do it. That'll do it for today's SPY review, and we got a little book map review in as well. Appreciate everybody's support, and yep, we'll do it all again Monday.